So now we move to our next keynote profile. It is my pleasure to introduce Prathap Raghavan, Director of Product Management for Gen AI and Automation at Santander, USA. He has deep expertise in generative AI integration, intelligent automation, expertise in AI driven business solutions. His keynote presentation is titled Generative AI on Intelligent Automation. We are excited to hear his perspective on how AI is transforming enterprise automation. Let us warmly welcome Pratap Raghavan, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for confirming. Hey, good morning all, or good evening. This is Pratap. I have around 20 years of IT industry experience. So today I am going to talk about automation framework and AI related AI powered automation and all this. I think it's a bit technical. I don't know. I mean, I've been seeing the last few speakers note actually, but those are like more of a generic part actually. But I am going to be talking about some more technical and related to AI automation with quality engineering. Um, if you have any questions, you can raise hands so that I can answer immediately. Okay. So when we talk about automation, see why we need automation framework. So earlier, right, when we started this software testing process, we have been doing a manual testing, right? Manual testing. See, one time if you want to run the test cases, you will enjoy the energetic test case execution because what I see is that whenever you get a new product to be tested, you will be very enthusiastic to test the product, right? Because it's a new learning. So if I'm asking you to do that same test after 10 times, let's say you're doing for 10th time, the same test case, how you feel? Like it's a monotonous job, right? So that is where we get into these automations, right? So whenever any product got deployed in productions or anything like that, you need to do the testing every time any changes happen, right? So that's the uh, real world process, right? So that is where this automation came into picture. Like you do the replication in a software, whatever the steps you do, and you automate it. So there are few frameworks which has been initially when we started, it's a script-based automation. So you do the actions, you create the automated scripts for the actions, and you run it. That's how it is. Then second thing comes is the framework-driven automation. Like there are certain frameworks has to be done. How you see the results. You need to give an extent results. So because you need to keep the history, right? Because whenever the product enhanced, you run the scripts, you need to keep that results in some place where you can see that, okay, this has happened during this execution. So at that time the execution got passed and you need to keep it. So that is where this framework driven comes in. And now the era started with the AI, right? So AI is something which is going way advanced and it has all things to be done by AI. Okay, you don't need any manual intervention or anything like that. Even script creation itself, like AI can do. I think even development itself can AI can do, right? So that is where the third thing comes. Okay, but what AI needs is that you need to strongly give the instructions properly. Okay, if AI need to understand your instruction properly, then it will give a better results. If AI cannot understand your instruction, then you won't get a proper result. So that is where, when it comes to AI, the strong prompt engineering is nothing but a simple English, but it should be effectively understood by AI. Okay. and your requirement should be solid enough that AA should be understood. Okay, that is one thing. My understanding, AA, whenever it comes to AA era, you should be strong enough in English. That's how I think. Okay, because even any language, whatever AA is built with the large language models, my understanding now, you don't need to give pseudocode, or you don't need to give a logics to that. How the pseudocode has, you don't need to give input as a pseudocode. Okay. If you give a simple English in whatever language you know, if you want to give in Hindi, if LLM is able to understand, it will understand. If you want to give in English, it will understand. If you want to give it in Spain, I think Spanish, it will understand. So the LLM has to understand your language. So that's the only basic understanding. Now you don't need to give like a binary codes, like pseudocodes, and that is not needed. Now simple English gives a lot of output. So when it comes to intelligent automation framework, I'm just giving a small technical aspect how this intelligent test automation works. Okay, so there is a tool called Playwright, which does automation with the browsers. So whatever instruction I give, like log into the page and do enter username, enter password, it will do that actions in the Playwright Selenium Node.js code. There's a concept called MCP server which talks to these tools. Okay, with AI. Okay, GitHub Copilot is nothing but an it's a big LLM where it has a code repositories, and it will understand your code. I mean, whatever the recommend you need, it will create the code. Okay, that's how this GitHub Copilot. This Allure reporting is results which it generates after your execution is done. So let me run some automation script, okay, to tell that how it works. Okay, I created one sample test cases here. So I will just run it out and see how it runs. Okay, I'm just giving an instruction. Okay, can you run the test what I created here. I'm just giving a simple English. Okay. So this one, what it does is that it will it will like it will it will it will run the test cases which I created already. Okay. If you want to create a steps also, it will create it. Okay. So I'm just giving an instruction to run it out to showcase that it is running it. Okay. Um, so I'm asking the GitHub Copilot to run because I installed all the softwares, whatever is needed. I'm just giving the instruction alone. Okay. So now this execution how it works is that it will run in such a way that username is entered and password is entered, and so it started running it, and I'm allowing it to run it out. So in this type, right, you may understand I'm just running it. Okay. It's basically, I create it automatically created the scripts. Okay. So I'm just running the script what is created. I will give one more steps also to this so that it will create the script according to that. Okay. So you just run the scripts. Okay. So whatever the script created by Copilot, it is running it. Okay. So see, now a man as a manual process, right? If I want to do first time, I will be enthusiastic to run this. Okay. If I want to do the same step 100th time, I'll be like thinking that okay, it's a monotonous job, right? You will be getting bored of doing the same thing. Okay. Since this is where this automation comes into picture. Okay. So this is a sample process. Okay. So if I give an instruction for this also, right? It will run this instruction. Okay. Let me. So there is an instruction here. Okay. Open to the page, and if I give this instruction also, it will create the scripts. Okay. So for this, what I'm going to do is that I'm just uh, I'm going to just give that. So here I'm going to just tell you how the script is getting created. Okay, now this is a simple step. Earlier it was login successful. Now I'm giving a different way that I'm giving one of the password is incorrect, and then I'm giving this instruction to the copilot. Okay, these are the script get created. Okay, I'm not incorrect user to enter username. Okay, type incorrect user. Okay, so I'm just giving the script. So I'm just showing the script is getting created. Okay, I don't want to run it out, but it is time taking. So can you please create the script and run it out? So it will work it out and it will create the scripts. Okay. So this is the main advantage of it. Okay. So why we are going with the AI is that creating the script also it is done by AI. Okay. So I just want to show this example because this is where the AI is going. Okay. Because everybody might understand. See, I created one more script. See, it's automatically created that. Okay. I didn't do anything. I just gave the instruction. It automatically did it. I don't want to, I will try to run it, but sometimes the objects might failure because if it is object is not identified, then it will get failure. So I just want to show that the object get created here and run it out. So let me run it out and see whether it is running or not. Okay. Sometimes AI has some capability to not understand the scripts properly also. We need to correct the scripts. So there is a concept called self-healing scripts, which correct it. Okay. Oh, okay. Now it got passed because it gave an invalid user and it got passed. It got to see the failure message. Okay. So this is the sample process, how the AI works. Okay. So so these are all the few tools which is used to run that. So I just want to show that script and then there are additional framework process which it does actually. Um, so I just go with that additional process like a plugin based architecture with JNA. So there is something called microservices. Related to microservices, this GenA services will work. Okay, you can create a separate service like a self-healing selector plugin. Okay, this automation, how it works is that you will be it will be identifying the objects, right? But here, if some objects are getting failure, the AI will auto identify that object. Okay, that is where we are going with the self-healing selector plugin. So if your object is not identified, it will run through this AI process and through this plugin, and it will identify the object. Okay. So that's where this self-healing selector plugin is. You can create multiple plugins according to your need. Okay, this is kind of a microservices which you can use it for your testing. Then comes the scaling your test intelligence. Okay, so how this works is that you're writing in a project, right? Let's say in a big company, you're writing some thousands of test cases. Okay, but whenever you're whenever any enhancement happens, you need to identify the set of test cases, right? So how this scaling test intelligence works is that it will find the relevant test cases. Let's say if your developer does a change in a login model, it will identify the relevant test cases and then it will pull the test cases from the Jira through vector database. So how this vector database in a company, right? There are multiple requirement management tools are there like Jira, Quality Center, and all those stuff. Okay, so we input those data into this vector databases, and vector databases as that embedding data. It's based on numeric it will collect. It's also understand the normal instruction. Whatever query you give, it will understand that vector database queries will understand and it will fetch the data. So that is where this relevant test cases were pulled, and there is a concept called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. It's like updating your language model. Okay, so what is the latest data? It will update it, and it's also the same process. Like whatever the input you give, it will fetch the data and according to your need, and it will get the test cases according to your rate. So there is a concept called CA pipeline. I don't know. While executing, while deployment, you will go with the CA pipeline, and if you want to fetch the relevant test cases, it will fetch the relevant test cases according to your need. So, so there's concept. This is a concept called scaling test intelligence. So this is more beneficial for a big projects, like if it has a multiple integrated systems, and if a tester want to identify the relevant test cases, you can go ahead with this scaling the test intelligence using vector stores and RAG. And there are a few other examples where we can talk about is the as I told, right, scaling intelligent test case generation. So how it works is that if you are enhancing the product, you want to create a new test cases, it will find the old test cases and add a few more test cases to your test case according to your need. Okay, so the AI can build like intelligent test cases according to your need. So this way, I think it will reduce your time, right? Obviously, because you don't need to spend too much of time on creating the test cases. It will automatically generate the test cases according to your need. Okay, and impact analysis and regression testing. So basically, right, my understanding when I any in, see in real world, I see that most of the defect happens when regression testing happens. Okay, because mostly, right, system testing, everybody find the defects as such. Regression testing is a very key process where when any enhancement goes, tester has to be very keen on testing that process. So yeah, so regression testing plays an important role. So it will in AI, that scaling test intelligence, it will identify the related test cases for regression testing, and AI-powered test failure diagnosis. Okay, so there are multiple defects. Okay, which you might store it in your recommend tools like a Jira tool or Quality Center. Sometimes due to environment, you find some defects. Okay, I don't think that is an impossible possible defect. There's a showstopper, but everybody knows that it's due to environment downtown. So it's not a big I mean, it's a showstopper, but it won't be like what you say. It's like no, it's not like a major defect. Okay, so those things can be identified. Like a priority of the defects can be found out by this test failure diagnosis. And the main purpose of this AI-related scaling intelligence is the test documentation and knowledge retrieval. Let's say you work for a project for almost 3 to 5 years, okay? And the first year you have some requirement, okay? You want to understand what is that requirement, okay? And if you go and search in the Jira tool or recommend management tool, you will need to type in and get the data. I mean, you won't get the proper response, right? You need to search it out. At least you need at least one or two identify the recommend. But I think AI can have the benefit based on your prompt engineering. I mean, if you are giving a proper language, it will identify it and it will get the proper response. And knowledge also you will get it. Okay, so based on this, okay, it's basically knowledge retrieval and test documentation, and it will create your document as it is there. And also retrieving the document knowledge also, it is easy for us for the uh, a test case process. And coming to the next process is the CACD. I think this is something in deployment process, how you are segregating the test cases according to your need. Okay, so earlier, right, what happens is that whenever any CI/CD pipeline runs, you will run all the test cases and make sure that the environment is stable or not. Now, AI has that intelligence to identify based on the requirement if any change has happened to particular scenario, it will identify the respective test cases and then it will run it out. And that's a smart test selection. Okay, and it also gives the recommendation whether it got passed or failed, because there are some scenarios which is not, some minor issues might be happen at got failed. Okay, but AI has the intelligence to decide, okay, this is not a defect, this is not a major showstopper defect, this is just a cosmetic defect. So it will have a decision making authority and it will find it out. And third thing comes the failure handling. Okay, so it will classify the failures and it will identify the corresponding failures and whether it needs manual triage or not. So those things has been identified by AI. So obviously, certain things you need to have an human in the loop, right? So AI has that intelligence to find it out, but human should be interpreted some process. At least AI learns the process thoroughly, right? So that is where you requires manual triage for some of the defects, whatever is identified. So coming to the strategic metrics, okay. So what is that advantage? What we see here in the ROA, right? So AI develops the test cases, whatever you need, or it will create the scripts. Even for developers also it helps. So I'm just giving for testing perspective, and it predicts the defect process and deployments. It supports shorten the release cycles, and it also maintenance cost over time is reduced there. So those are all the four factors for AI initiative support. Okay, but for in test engineering perspective, QA engineering perspective, I'm talking. And some of the other metrics, what I see from the Gartner's role is this, these are the few things. Okay, see, main intention why we need testers is that to make sure that the production defects are reduced, right? If there are more production defects, I don't need any testers in the project, right? So the main intention is that defects has to be reduced in the production. So due to the AI process, as per the Gartner's result, they say that after AI, the escaped defects will be like defect leakage in production will be reduced and faster detection. Okay, what is the root cause of the defect? And it can be identified within 1 hour through AI. Uh, that's the coverage, what they say, and higher coverage. Okay, obviously, right? Because we as a manual process how we create is and if I give to AI, it will create a multiple scenarios and it will create even more scenarios also. So they covers more and so due to this, I think customers satisfaction will increase, right? So obviously, whenever you want to have a quality product, obviously we expect customer satisfaction, obviously, right? Because you are sending the product to the all over the world. So when they're using it, it should be like a quality product. If it has a multiple defects, I don't think people will like it, and the company's what do you say credibility will lose, right? So they have to maintain the better quality wherever they want to see. So these are all the few metrics which AI can improve it based on the understanding. And that comes the end. Any questions, guys? Anything? I'm happy to answer to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. If anyone has any question, they can raise their hand.
Mr. Prathap, really, really great presentation. One question I had for you was, as I understand it, the AI systems are very susceptible to hallucinations. How, in your organization, when you set up these test cases, do you handle with hallucinations?
What do you mean by hallucination? I mean, I just want to understand that point. Hello.
Perfect. I was unable to unmute myself. So hallucination, as in um, you expect a certain output, right? And based on your cost function that you provide to your LLM or um, to your agentic AI, they sometimes try to find a solution which you think is right, but is not actually accurate or is not precise, right? So that's what is called hallucination, right? So my question to you is, how often do you see something where you expect you think from your point of view that, hey, this is what the solution should be, but then and you expect the agentic AI to take over, but then when you go in and look at them individually, then you see that there are a lot of inconsistencies in its answers.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. I got your point right now. Thank you for asking that question. So basically, right, as I told, right, see, when it comes to this one, I told, right, failure handling, okay. I think there's a concept called human in the loop, right? For every decision, right, we doesn't look for. I also build this automation with the AI, and there are some test cases. I think AI will uh, show it as a failure, but it actually passed. Okay, so that cases what I do is that we manually make it as a consideration as a pass. Okay, and some decision what AI does is like give it as a false positive scenarios. That time human in the loop, like there's a concept called human in the loop. We have to be manually uh, check the test results and then correct it. Okay, I think this AI thing, right? I think I was telling you when it comes to AI validation, right? It's a starting phase. Okay, when it got to learn more and more and more, then only you'll get a proper results. Okay, it's just started. Okay, I mean like 1 year we started this AI process in our project. We are also finding some inconsistency because there are multiple integrated systems. I just showed with a small web application. If I want to, I have automated some Citrix applications and all the stuff through AI. There also I'm facing some inconsistencies. That time we go with the manual process, manual diagnosis, and then we'll get the outcome as expected, what we need. I think I gave the answer what you record, or is it something? Hello?
No, that was good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Any other question?
So, as there are no question at this moment, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.